Hey everyone, let's talk about bridge builders today based on 2 Corinthians 5:12 and onward. So a while back, I remember hearing about Mrs. Danella Bunn and her husband who moved from Waycross, Georgia to Hapeville with the mission of literally building bridges. And then there was Mr. Clive Rogers who did something similar in Atlanta. He could point out the bridges he built, which was pretty cool. Just this week, though, we had a bit of a shocking incident when a truck crashed into the Walt Stephens Bridge on I-75. There have been plenty of frustrated drivers while that bridge has been shut down for safety checks. Be reconciled to God. In talking about building bridges, let's look at 2 Corinthians 5:12, where Paul mentions they're not just bragging, but giving an opportunity for others to see their true selves beyond outer appearances. He acknowledges that when they're acting a bit crazy, it's all for God, but when they're calm, it's for the sake of those listening. Paul goes on to say, the love of Christ urges us on. 2 Corinthians 5:14. He's convinced that Christ died for everyone, and because of that, we should live not for ourselves, but for him. This is the essence of understanding ourselves in the light of God's love. A bridge to understanding ourselves. Paul tells us in 2 Corinthians 5:17 that if anyone is in Christ, they're a new creation. Old things have passed away and everything has become new. This is incredible. The enemy of God. Let's be real for a moment. Apart from God, we're our own worst enemies. Remember that Peanuts cartoon where Charlie Brown says, I have found the enemy and it is us? Sometimes it feels like we hurt ourselves and those we love, especially when life gets tough and we feel that frustration boiling over. B, the friend of God. But when we're reconciled to God, we shift from feeling separate to feeling connected. It's a game changer. C, application to what's happening now. As your pastor, I see the challenges we face as a church, budget issues, attendance drops, and changes in our neighborhood. It's scary. Sometimes I feel this frustration and urgency. I learned some valuable lessons about leadership from a rather unexpected place, a cow pasture in Fayette County. Picture this. The night before our church's groundbreaking on new property, some cows escaped into our area. My staff called for help, and by the time I arrived, it was almost dark. The last thing I wanted was to read in the news about Thurman Krill being trampled by cows because I insisted we move them. So I decided to let them roam. Later, our local cattle expert, Errol Brown, told me that if I'd brought some food to lead one cow, the others would have followed. It hit me. Great leadership is about guiding from the front instead of pushing from behind. So when I feel scared and frustrated by what's happening around us, I want to shift that energy into something people want to follow. 2, a bridge to understanding. God moving on to 2 Corinthians 5:18, Paul reminds us that everything we've talked about comes from God. He reconciles us to himself through Christ and empowers us to share that message of reconciliation. All this is from God. It's all about recognizing that this work and change we see is rooted in God's love. B, reconciliation through Christ. We're called to bridge that gap ourselves, being instruments of peace. Our ministry, we each carry this ministry of reconciliation, reaching out to others and drawing them closer to God. Third, a bridge to understanding others. Then in 2 Corinthians 5:19, Paul tells us that God has been busy reconciling the world to himself not counting everyone's trespasses against them. It's a powerful idea. Reconciliation changes hostility into acceptance and friendship. Paul nails it when he says in 2 Corinthians 5:20 that we are ambassadors for Christ, urging others to be reconciled to God. This is vital work. A, God's work. God does amazing things, opening and closing doors that we can't. B, our work. Our part is to be present and active in that reconciliation. C, the results belong to God. I've seen God do incredible things that go beyond what we can orchestrate ourselves. Conclusion. Now, as I wrap this up, I'm reminded of Dr. Javerick, a heart surgeon who faced many rejections before entering medical school. His last shot was bringing a model of his mechanical heart to his interview, where he walked in and said, "I come with my heart in my hands." That sentiment resonates, right? It's about being vulnerable and open. Let's consider how we can be bridge builders in our own lives, in our church, and in our relationships. Let's lead with love and compassion as we move forward together.